Welcome back to Dynamics. Okay, I want to do a movie review, or I'm going to do a couple movie reviews right now. But this movie review is going to be on A Knock at the Cabin. So this is the newest M. Night Shyamalan movie, and it stars Dave Bautista. I am a big fan of both. I will admit I have always loved M. Night Shyamalan movies. Some have been better than others. I get that some of them are a little bit contentious because they're not great, but I've enjoyed them all. If there was a weak link, I would probably say Lady in the Water. I know some people say The Happening. Um, some people didn't like The Village, which I'm actually surprised by because I thought that was pretty good. And then he's done some iffy things recently, like the what was it? The Avatar: The Last Airbender was actually one of his too. The live action movie that just no one really liked. Um, and But yeah, so recently he did Old, which I think I did a review for on this channel. If not, I should have. It was a very good movie. I really enjoyed it. It was one of those movies where there's a twist, but it's not really a twist. And that seems to be the direction he's going in now. Is like, sure, it could go one way or the other, and it kind of goes, you're not sure until the end, but it's not like what, like Sixth Sense, kind of. I mean, a lot of people did see it coming, but for them, a lot of people didn't, and it was what established him as the guy who does twists, right? At the end of his movies. Um, so Old had, a little bit of a twist, but not really. It was, pretty much what you expected to be. And It was very interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. But Knock at the Cabin was really good. Now, keep in mind, I went to this movie with my girlfriend, and she didn't think it was really good. So, this is definitely a movie that's more my taste than necessarily everyone's taste. Um, she was hoping for more. Not that she thought it was a bad movie, just she just didn't like it as much as I did. I really liked this movie though. So let's kind of talk about who's in the movie, other than it being an M. Night Shyamalan movie. So Dave Bautista, um, I wouldn't say he's the star of the movie because it's an ensemble cast, and I would say that there's very few people that stand above the others in this movie. It's really done well as far as establishing who keeping everybody on equal footing. Um, there's a couple of people that aren't in the movie as long as others, so you could say that they're more of they're less the star of the movie. Um, and so, gonna get into spoilers pretty much right away here. Uh, but before I do that, just so you know, I did enjoy the movie. I would say you would want to watch it. Um, you know, just if you get the chance, just watch this movie, even though you didn't get to see it in the theaters. Um, Go out of your way to find this movie. And if you haven't watched it and you're worried about spoilers, then that's what I'm going to do now. So in the video at this point. Um, but yeah, so in the movie you have Rupert Grint from Harry Potter. He's been doing more stuff lately, and I've been enjoying a lot of what he's been doing lately. So keep that in mind. I think he's doing a really good job with the new stuff he's been picking out. Some more horror related stuff, and I appreciate that. I enjoy that. He's more of he is one of the main characters, but he dies early on in the movie. Let's just put it that way. And so I would say that maybe he's not quite up there with the main stars, but name recognition wise, he's probably the second biggest name in the movie. So there's that. I was actually surprised that he did leave so early. Um, I'm not getting into heavy spoilers yet, but I will. But yeah, so he passes early in the movie, and then let's see here. Who else do we have? We have Abby Quinn is also one of the main characters. She plays Adrian. And we have Nikki Amuka Bird, who also plays one of the main characters. Let me pull her up real quick because I think, if I remember correctly, she is from. See what else? Oh, oh, I didn't know that. So she's in Old also. Um, that's right. She is in Old. That's great. That's great. She was one of the main characters in Old also. And then let's see. Was she in? I thought maybe. You know what? That's probably where I knew her from then, was from Old. I thought maybe she was in something else that I knew her from. Um, no, it doesn't look like it. Let's see some of the other stuff she's done. Jericho Ridge, Avenue 5. Looks like those two movies might be, or Jericho Ridge might be coming out either. No, it looks like it's already come out. I haven't seen that. Avenue 5 is a TV series that she was a part of. Old. All right, I thought I knew her from more. Anyways, she was good. She did a great job in the movie. One of the main characters also. Um, and so those four are the home invaders. We'll call them that first. So they were home invaders in a way, right? They show up. Dave Bautista's character, his name is Leonard, shows up, meets up with Kristen Cui's character, Cui. I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced, but Wen, the character Wen is the little girl. And they have a really, really beautiful interaction at the beginning of the movie. I think they both did a great job acting it. The shots were a little strange, but I enjoyed the take on it. Trying to show that although he is massive and she is tiny, they saw eye to eye and they had a conversation with each other almost as equals. Pretty much as equals. I thought it was a great shot. But after they have a conversation for a while, she realizes that unfortunately he's not there for 100% altruistic purposes. She runs to her house to find her dads. Her dads are played by Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge. Adoptive parents, obviously. And there it's Eric and Andrew are her fathers. I think she even calls them that, Daddy Eric and Daddy Andrew, something to that effect. She runs in. She tries to explain to them what she's seen. They, don't take her as seriously as they should at first because, child. But they pretty quickly clue in that something actually is wrong. And then that's when they realize that the four home intruders are approaching the cabin. They knock on the cabin and they try which is where the name of the movie comes from. Knock at the cabin. They try to just ask them to let them in rather than break in at first. Um, and so they knock at the cabin door. They try to talk through the door for a while to see if they can convince the couple, the family, to let them in. And it doesn't work, of course. And so they end up breaking into the home. In the midst of breaking into the home, um, Jonathan Groff's character, I am almost 100% sure about that. Eric is the one that takes a blow to the head. He gets a concussion. It plays a role in the rest of the movie. And then they're holding them captive. Basically, they're not allowed to leave, but it's not at the penalty of death, which maybe they just didn't quite understand that. But they were trying to prevent them from leaving physically if they had to, but it wasn't. They weren't going to kill them in an attempt to keep them from escaping. Right? It wasn't a situation where they were going to kill them. Um, in fact, what ends up happening, and just kind of like, because this is going a little long, the they present them with a choice. They say that they have to pick one of the three of them. So one of the two dads or the daughter, and obviously it's not going to be the daughter. It's going to be one of the two dads. They have to pick one of them as a sacrifice, and the other two have to take the life of the third. so they can't kill themselves, right? Um, and so they give them the chance to make that choice and to take that action. And of course, they're not going to. They think they're crazy and they're home intruders and maybe they're part of a cult, you know. Um, and so when they turn them down, they say, no, we are not going to do that. Rupert Grint's character comes forward, presents himself, um, and takes his own life before the other three finish him off, just to make sure he's not suffering, that sort of thing. But he has to take his own life. Um, so Rupert Grint's character dies pretty early on in the movie because he's the first one to take his own life. And they proceed through the movie trying to, explain to them why they need to decide to have one of them sacrifice to take one of their lives is to prevent the apocalypse. And they show them examples of what's happening out in the world when they choose to not do that. And, um, uh, I think the first thing that happens is a wave. Is that the first thing? Anyways, there's like different things that happen. There's a wave. There's planes falling out of the sky. There's a virus and illness that is spreading, and so people are dying. And they're trying to tell them that this is because you are not choosing to sacrifice one of yourselves, and they never really believe them. Um, and so, then after Rupert Grint's character, Redmond, his name is Redmond. The character of Adrian is next. Um, is it? Now I'm getting a little confused. I should have done this review like right after. Sabrina and Adrian are the next to go, and I think Adrian goes first, and then Sabrina, like tries to prevent an escape by Andrew's character, which has been Aldredge, and she ends up getting shot in the process, and then like she finishes herself off, and Dave Bautista finishes her off as well. Dave Bautista's character Leonard, and then so it gets down to the last character, which is Leonard, and they refuse to sacrifice one of themselves. Leonard says, "Okay, well, you're only going to have a few minutes after I've taken my life to change your mind." And if you do not do it within a few minutes, then the world will end and everybody else will die other than you three, and you'll be left to wander the world alone until you pass, and then the human race will be gone. Um, and so Leonard takes his own life, and then the one father who had the concussion, Eric, played by Jonathan Groff, um, he's kind of been like sympathetic to them, and he might believe them, and he's unsure, but he's also concussed. And Andrew keeps telling him it's just the concussion, making him think he saw a figure in the light and different things like that. But in the end, he doesn't want to take the chance. He's believing the signs that they're seeing, and he tells Andrew that, no, you know what, you need to take my life, and take our daughter and save the world, and so they do. So Andrew ends up taking Eric's life, um, which prevents the end of the world, and him and Wen leave the cabin, which catches on fire due to some lightning strikes that was happening from a storm. Anyways, so the movie ends with them going into the closest town because they were at a cabin, and everybody in the town is at the local diner, and they're all watching the same stuff they were watching on the news. So it ends up that it was true that these things were happening, and that and it's like people are starting to get better. For some reason, the virus has stopped. The planes that hadn't fallen out of the sky yet were able to land. The waves died down, and so people, so the end of the world is officially averted in the movie. And I hear that the book that it's based on isn't so conclusive. It's a little bit more vague, but in the movie, it's definitely the end of the world was happening, and they averted it by sacrificing the one father. Um, Beautifully acted, beautifully done. Great movie. You should definitely take some time and go watch that movie. I'm sure it'll be on streaming services soon. Although I think maybe in some places it's still in the theater. You should check it out. An article that I found, and it kind of touches on it in the movie. And I just kind of like want to touch on this in this video because I really do kind of like this. Although I didn't completely catch it during the movie, but it is definitely what's happening. Um, they're kind of like the four home intruders are kind of like the four horsemen, right? They're not exactly the same. So typically, the four horsemen are death, famine, war, and conquest. And they play slightly different versions. Like Redmond's character is more of a malice character. He's angry, and there's other stuff that happens in the movie, which kind of makes it like so that the couple doesn't believe the home invaders because apparently they had some interactions with him previously. They just didn't realize it at first. So his character's Malice. He's very angry. And yeah, so that's who he plays. Then let's see. It says so Sabrina, instead of playing death, is playing healing because she's a nurse, and so Sabrina is the healing nature of humans. They do want to heal, and heal each other. So yeah, so that's Sabrina. She's more of healing as opposed to death. Then you have nurture. I think is that what they're saying about Adriana's character. Let's see, where'd that go? The other character it works in a restaurant, and so they're saying she's nurture because she feeds. Yes, okay. So Adrian is wearing black shirt, strongly. So it's like she's famine, but she's the opposite of famine because she wants to feed them. She feeds the family while she's there. She works at a restaurant, that sort of thing. So she's nurture. And then Leonard, instead of being conquest, is more of what are we calling him? Leader. He's leadership. He was a teacher. He's a big, huge, buffed, tattooed guy. Very soft spoken though, and apparently he's a grade school teacher and he coaches their sports teams and he talks about how they're not very good, but it doesn't matter and he loves them and he wants to go back to be with his students. But unfortunately, he has to sacrifice himself to prevent the apocalypse. Um, and so instead of being conquest, he's leadership because he's obviously the leader of the four. So it's kind of an interesting take on things. There is a slight twist. Is it really happening? Is it not really happening? Well, it's really happening. And I just really enjoyed it. And I really hope you go out and see it. I hope you enjoy it too. Don't let the spoilers keep you from seeing it because, there's a bunch of stuff that happens in the movie that I didn't talk about, although this was a pretty in depth review. So, but it was very good. And hopefully you go out and see it. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.